Hello, my name is Sue, and this is Chuck,
How you doing?
and welcome to our channel, You Killed My Master. We created this channel because right now there's a lot of people who are interested in Kung Fu and martial arts movie. I think recently with all the John Wick movies, the Jason Bourne movies, people have been more into these action martial arts movies. But I think that people don't realize that there were some real classics and treasures before John Wick, before Jason Bourne. I was having a conversation with some people a little while back, and I was actually quite surprised that when I mentioned Bruce Lee, there were some younger people who go, Bruce, don't know who that is. It shocks me that they don't know who Bruce Lee is. And when I say Jackie Chan, the reaction is, oh, Jackie Chan, we know Jackie Chan. He's the guy who does those comedies with that Chris Tucker guy, right? And that's all that they know about Jackie Chan. So we wanted to introduce the new generation to some real classic Kung Fu and martial arts movie that unless we keep it alive, people are just going to forget about them. And I think that you'll get a kick from watching some of these older classic movies. So with that said, the first movie that we want to introduce to everyone is from 1972. It was a movie produced in Hong Kong by Shaw Brothers called King Boxer. But when they acquired the rights for North America, they dubbed it and they renamed it Five Fingers of Death, which I think is one of the great martial arts kung fu movie titles
Titles, yeah.
there is. So, what is Five Fingers of Death about?
Five Fingers of Death is basically a story about loyalty, betrayal, and revenge, recurring themes in the kung fu movies of the 1970s and 80s. The story takes place in China in the early 20th century. Jia Jihao, which is the main character, he's a promising young kung fu fighter. He's training for an important martial arts tournament. This particular tournament is significant in that it could bring the winning team recognition and prestige, but a local martial arts gang would also like to use it to gain power in the area. After Jihao's master is attacked by members of the gang, the master sends his pupil to train at the famous Chin Wu School, which you may have heard from a Bruce Lee movie if you know these movies. And from there, unfortunately, the local thugs attack the Chin Wu School and injure the Chin Wu master.
The Chin Wu master decides to teach Jihao the iron palm.
Meanwhile, the gang hires some Japanese martial artists to harass the Chin Wu School students. They ambush Jihao and break his hands. Jihao is discouraged, but eventually goes back to training. The rest of the story is basically about Jihao having run-ins with the gang and, of course, the big tournament. Jihao defeats the gang's best fighter in the tournament and later kills the main Japanese fighter with the iron palm in spectacular fashion. Now I'll give you my review of Five Fingers of Death. I give it 1 thumbs up because the story is good, but the movie does show its age through the acting and the fighting scenes. While the dubbing is okay, parts are probably lost in the translation. So he knows what's happening in the movies in the original version. I just know it from the dub version. But in any case, the fighting also will be considered slow and wooden by today's standards. Each fight scene is choreographed like a leisure dance, unlike today's frenetic action sequences. However, it is a good introduction into the genre, and I would give it a 1 thumbs up, not 2, but 1 thumbs up.
So, I would give the movie a thumbs up. And yes, is compared to modern like a John Wick, which is really flashy in Hollywood, you could say, well, it's kind of stilted the way they fight. But you have to remember that that type of filmmaking in terms of kung fu movies is what we call stance fighting. We stand in the stance and we fight. But I watched the movie as a little kid, the original version, the Chinese version called King Boxer, and I've watched the dub version in English called Five Fingers of Death. And don't get me started about the dub version. I don't know what it is, but it seems like I think Hollywood, for the Japanese monster movies and these Chinese kung fu movies, they get Western actors who says, I think this is what Asian sounds like or Oriental sounds like.
Yeah.
So when they're talking, it's very catchy or very exciting. Oh, you killed my master. Oh, so I watched both versions. Yes, it's not as slick as John Wick's, but I watched it again recently, the dub version, and I still think that it holds up, that it retained my attention. And one bit of warning about this movie. This movie was made in the 70s. So movies made in the 70s, especially Shaw Brothers in Hong Kong, they were bloody. And this is not even one of the bloodier movies, but they have people with blood splurting,
Eye
and
gouging.
what eye gouging, one of the bloodiest, things. And also, there's a character who fights. His style is the Iron Head styles, where he just headbutts you.
Yeah.
So it has everything. Now, if you watch it now, yes, is it very stereotypical of the '70s, from the '70s jazzy, music theme? And also the way they portray the Japanese character, basically long hair, messy hair, thugs.
Yeah, it's politically incorrect these days, but otherwise, if you think about it when it was happening, you'd understand why they did it this way. So there's always like that certain prejudice in there, but that's the filmmaking of the '70s.
And I think that you'll just get a kick out of the style and also the theme. I'm listening to myself, that's a really jazzy, theme. But also one thing that I have to give them, points for is the way that they depicted the iron palm technique without CGI, without a lot of crazy like special effects. It was simple. They use it by sound and lighting. And just bonus question, if you guys watch when he fights and he starts using the iron palm, there's a piece of music that they use. I won't tell you what it is. Try to guess, where did you hear that piece of music before? And also, I like the lighting effects without a lot of CGI or special effects. When he does the iron palm, just using lighting, they lit up his hands so they turned red. I think it was just like, wow, for a movie made in the '70s, I was think it was well done. So I think it's well worth watching, something that kicked off the whole kung fu martial art craze in the West. So for me, Five Fingers of Death, I give it a thumbs up.
I think it's a very good film, but I don't think it stands the test of time. As far as where it was filmed and what time it was filmed, yes, I agree that with Sue that you should watch it, because then you'll get a sense of what's going to happen from then on, and the whole '80s is basically full of those movies. So
watch it and comment. Let us know if you agree with me that this is a well-made movie and it stands the test of time, or you agree with Chuck, who saw half of the movie while he was asleep. So
true.
Put in the comment what you think.
I'm old, so
And we'll see you next time.
take care.